I think this journey has started for a long time. I can take it back to like 2013 with Fuse ODG, having the Azonto top 5 records, Better Than Bad, #1 record with Major Lazer. So it has continued. And for me, I never wanted to be a musician. I was just a hustler trying to make money, isn't it? And music was my escape. And as I would learn about tech, I would start to put everything I was learning about tech into promoting my music. Fast forward to 2015, I'll drop the song Skin Tight and Banku Lies, and I will get a call from Lauren Hill. My boys in Ghana, shout out to Abdul and the team. I played for Lauren Hill before I decided to be an artist in King's Theatre, Brooklyn. So this journey has started a long time ago, and then I decided to do music full time 2016, July 22nd, by booking my own show in the UK. And in 2018, after so much success, I decided to start my label, Power Africa, because at the time, I just thought there was no company that was fully focused only on African music, like just African music. And big shout out to my friend Denzel from Platoon. I worked with Platoon. I was the first African artist to get Apple Music up next. There was no African artist. It was Khalid, me, and then Bad Bunny. To see how big Khalid is, how big Bad Bunny is, where I've gotten to in my career, and it's been an upward trajectory with that. We've been able to work with the likes of Joe Boy, Breaking Joe Boy globally, Major League DJs. We're still in business with Major League DJs, Nandi from Tanzania, and about 58 producers we publish via Empower Publishing, Arnold Festival, the Theory Festival. And I just think like this year, I said it like 3 years ago, that in 6 years' time, African music is going to be the biggest sound of the world. And we're just 3 years in. And you can just imagine what it will be 50 years later, the day we celebrate 50 years of modern day Afropop, Afrobeat. It's going to be amazing. So the answer is yes, as we can see, and I think it's been more beautiful because we're now seeing artists from all over Africa taking the center stage, blowing up at the same time.
Thank you. So, good news. We all agree that this will not happen. This is happening right now. So, nearly 3 years before your expectation. So, we've been better than anticipated. Joseph, let's go to you. You're an investor in the creative industry. Do you think that money makes a difference? Do you think that we've got the right bakers to receive the money from investors? Tell us the relationship between investor and the music industry, because it's not easy. Sorry, sometimes I say that. But this music industry is very fragmented. And most investors are looking for tangible assets. They are looking for collaterals, and they put money. They want to have certain guarantees that they will get their money back. How do you work with this music? And how can you contribute to make sure that one day, even today, and even for many more years, African music will dominate the world?
Thank you, Olivier. So to me, I want to pick back what we still was saying. African music can dominate, and it has always had the potential to dominate. But the only challenge for African musicians always has been the issue of money, funding. Because we have a lot of talents and good talents and assets in Africa, but the question was, how do they fund their music so that it's a sustainable business? And to me right now, seeing the breakthroughs, seeing what Nigeria and other countries, so now we are starting to feel the hope, and that has really opened the doors to also other investors that in other countries in Africa to be like, this is a field where we can really invest. And I also like to tell investors that it's still a virgin field. third, these are only innovation. So they really don't understand how music or art or movies can make a difference. Can we invest in that and make money in return? So it's still a challenge, but looking at the countries that have done that before, so now it's starting to see investors opening up. Also appreciating certain government policies, and I thank so much the government of Rwanda through DB in collaboration with trades. So now we're trying to see that you can base tourism on entertainment. So now we have our people coming in here because of what? Because of trades. So now other investors are watching and they're like, hey, here's the future here. There's the future here. But we have always had potentials and talents, but the problem has been always money and exposure. And that's what we're trying to solve in this conference, because there is also exposure. By creating this platform, we have international artists coming, and also hear that after this, we're going to have a lot of local talents performing after this. So this is a great platform for young talents, upcoming talents to showcase what they can do, and create this opportunity for people to meet and exchange contacts. So this is how international collaboration is created. So I would say there is a future, and it's our time.
So let's go now to our panel. You mentioned a number of big names of artists. Are you the one responsible for this domination? You mentioned Burna Boy, you mentioned Asake, you mentioned Fireboy, you mentioned Namsebo. What's the miracle? What's the secret? Why Empire now has nearly 25 or 30% of the Afrobeat market in the world? So you must be part of this phenomenon of this moment.
I mean, 100%. I think we all play a very strong part, right? If I want to look at Empire's journey specifically, prior to that, I was at Universal. Actually, that's how Frank and I know each other. And when I look at the fact that this industry needs many different solutions, right? Major label can work for some, maybe independent label works for others. Maybe you as an artist need to be in a position to build your own business the way that Eazy has done as well too. But I think the big part of this is that we needed more of us inside these buildings. And we needed more of us in positions to make decisions. Right? If we're not in those positions where we can actually have the autonomy to build out the structure the right way, the system can never change. Because we can't change what you don't understand. Right, so even when you look at those who are of African descent, based in the US, UK, their perspective on this thing is different from us on the ground. Right, so if we don't have more people in those buildings and those rooms, be it at the various streaming platforms, the labels, just the infrastructure of the industry, it can't move forward. So for me, that was a very intentional thing to say, okay, you know what, let's make sure we're building systems that actually work for artists in Africa. Right? Every artist is going to come with a different strength to the table. Right? If you're an artist who is excellent at marketing already, our job shouldn't be to take that from you. Our job should be to fill in the gaps of what you're lacking. Right? So that it becomes a business partnership. It becomes something that can last for a long time versus just a transaction. So it's a number of things that have led to this. I think the Empire in particular, because of how we work with our artists, if their foundation is not strong, our business isn't good. Right? So we have to make sure that their foundations are strong so that beyond
what do you mean by strong foundation? Because a lot of young people here, want to be artists, ask us all the time what it means, what do we need to do to be a good artist? Now 10 years, first you have to have good foundation. What does that mean?
So I think it starts with just knowing who you are as an artist. Right? What is your role in this industry? Is your role to build a particular genre? Is your role to build more pathways for other artists? Is your role to eventually create a label that you can then empower those behind you? You need to first understand who you are and what you bring to the table, so that those who come to meet you know how to have conversation with you. I think a lot of times artists enter the space for the wrong reasons. So that creates a very faulty foundation. If you're just looking to make money, great, that's fine. be upfront about that so that the people investing in you know that this might not be a long-term thing, it might be a short-term thing. Let's know ourselves so we know how to do business the best way possible. So that foundation has to be shown in who you are, your own brand identity. The only way anyone can help you build it is if you're honest with yourself, right? If you're not honest about who you want to be, anyone coming to the table is coming under false pretense because you're giving them the wrong image of who you are. So you have to be strong with yourself first, right? Nobody should believe in you more than you. If your labor partner is doing more than you, it means that you yourself are not fully believing your own vision, right? So you have to have that strong foundation. And in addition to that, it's about the people around you. Because you can be moving forward and people around you can be moving back. So you need to understand what is the role of those people around you. Are these people who potentially become a part of your management team, your road team, your accountant, your lawyer, your show promoter? You need to also be very honest about that. A lot of artists fall behind because they carry weights that they should not be carrying. You know, we all have this mentality of as we move forward, everyone must come with us. But not everyone can get into that room with you. You sometimes need to get into that room first to create the opportunity for those around you. But if you're walking into the room with this weight, we call it the Superman complex, right? You cannot move forward, you can't fly. You need to let that weight go so that when you come back down to the ground, you can carry and build. You know, if you look at international art, Eazy's here, so it's a perfect example here. It's just building the infrastructure that does not exist, not just for you, but also for the industry as a whole. If you look at an international example, you see artists like Drake could be a good example actually, because every business structure around him, every pillar of his business are people he started with from day one. So someone is handling his merchandising, someone is handling his touring, someone is handling his bookings. These are all the people around him that have had specific roles to build the infrastructure that he enjoys now, alongside his labor partners. So these are things you have to be intentional about as an artist first. If you don't have that conviction, no matter what you do, you will never be able to reach your true potential. And nobody will be able to help you get there because you're not being honest with yourself about who you are, where you are, and what the future should look like for you.
You know, I think one is like he said, like knowing who you are. You know, I was watching a video before, like on my way here, and it was a video of Rema sitting down in a car and freestyling, right? And you know, there were a lot of comments back in the day about how Rema sounds, who he is, why he's doing like this. But he knew exactly who he was, and he stuck to his guns. He didn't change, he didn't flip the switch. Just like, oh, you're making the same song, okay, he keeps making that same song, because that's what he knows, and keeps elevating and dancing. And that's one of the biggest songs in the world, period, like a few years later. You know, so I think it's one knowing exactly who you are and being unapologetic about who you are, because that's how you cut through. It might take a lot of time, but if you see one person doing the same thing, if somebody is like shining shoes for 10 years, one day you'll be best shoe shiner and be shining the shoe for the president or something. So just knowing who you are, being confident in yourself and keeping at that. Number two, on foundation is the team. And it's the core team that starts with you before you plug into the likes of Eazy. And it's like, who's your manager, who's your A&R, who's your squad? You know, and sometimes you cannot elevate past the consciousness of your community. So if you surround yourself with the people who only want to get that quick bag, it's like, oh, let's go collect this show. And then they pay you for the show and then you don't show up because your boy said, don't mind them, don't show up, no refund. You don't show up, but then you can't get to the next level. So then it's knowing who you are, you know, like he said, that core team. And I think the last thing we always keep is education. Because education is everything. Like, even education about the music business. Like, I'm a nerd, so I was like studying from day one. Like, but I also made mistakes. I remember my first publishing deal. I didn't even know I had a publishing deal. I was reading everything, and I thought I was like one of the. I used to think I'm pretty smart, but I went and I was just clicking buttons, click, 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 distribute, distribute, distribute. I just thought, oh, publishing, extra collection. I just click. Because I had no education. I've never said this anywhere that I signed a publishing deal without knowing I was signing a publishing deal. And it was only when I wanted to do a bigger publishing deal, and I'm like, oh, I'm not published. And they said, no, you're published. I'm like, no, I'm not published. And I started writing my publisher, and they say, well, you signed it at so time. And I look at it, and I'm like, wow. You know, so I was so ashamed that this is the first time I'm ever saying publicly that I just went to click, but I was lucky it was an admin deal. So it expired. So I'm just saying, like, the last thing I would say is just the education. So, you know who you are, be confident, keep going until 2, look who are those guys on your squad, who is that core team, and 3, education. And the last thing I would say is relationships, you know, because sometimes you just get into the room just because somebody likes you. We're human beings at the end of the day. You get a big position just because you left a good impression with somebody. So I think that's the last thing I'll say.